Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to start working on styling to control the position of these images on the screen. So I've rearranged my screen like this. I'm using full Chrome browser now. It'll allow us to see much better what's actually going on. And just before I start, I just wanted to sort out one little legacy issue that's arisen. This flex box here in the main section isn't required, so as I delete it, it's a live link to Chrome. You'll see as I remove it, no change actually happens in the images. And again, this is saying I'm a child of a flex box, and again, it's irrelevant, so I'll get rid of that. So with that, I can actually put app away and just focus on working on this home page. So with that, I'd like to start by creating a slightly more realistic situation. At the moment, all the photos are the same size. They're all 600 pixels wide. In reality, for a photo presentation app, all the photos will be different sizes. So I've got two sizes in my array, so I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'll replace this with this little test. It says if the index is even, display the small photo, otherwise display the large one. So they should alternate between small and large. So let me just save that, and immediately you'll see the small one and then the large, and so on, small and large. And in order to make it easier to see what's going on, I'm going to just type background green. We can get rid of this later, 300. In the div that contains everything. And now you can see that the div that's containing it is the whole width of the screen, and the big images are essentially being sort of squeezed within the div. So the first thing I'd like to do is make this div a little bit narrower, and I can copy in a maximum width setting for this. So a Tailwind utility class. Here, max width 3XL will contain the width of this div to typically 768 pixels. So let me just save that. And immediately you can see that's happened. If you remember, these images are 600 wide. So that explains why we've got this sort of gap over here. Whereas the bigger images are 2200 pixels. So they've been sort of shrunk to fit into the available div. Now, the next thing I'd really like to do is just create a little bit of padding at the top. You see over here, we're sort of butted up against the nav bar, and on the left, we're butted up against the left-hand side. So let's just put some padding in again, and the main div. And that's just giving us a little bit of border. And the next thing I'd very much like to do is to put space actually in between the images. It's looking pretty ugly here. They're all touching each other. So all I need to do is put a little bit of bottom margin in. So let's just add that. Again, another Tailwind utility class, margin bottom 8. Will give us a nice gap underneath each photo and sort of separate them out a little bit. And then finally, these smaller images, I would really like to make them grow to occupy the full width available, so that everything is sort of a standardized size. And again, that's very easy. I'll just paste in a couple of utility classes into the image itself by paste and then save. So what I'm doing is I'm saying I want the width to be the full width of the available space. And by saying height auto I'm maintaining what's called the aspect ratio of the picture, which is the ratio between its width and its height. So it's basically maintaining the shape of the picture. And you can now see that all the pictures are the correct shape, and they're all contained within this nice div. But at the moment they're on the left-hand side. If we want to center them, that's quite easy. We can just go back to this div that contains everything and say I want to automatically set the X margin. So the X margin is on the left and the right, and by saying I want it to be auto, this is going to have equal amounts of margin on the left and right hand side, which will center our images. So here I go, I'll just save it and watch what happens. Immediately they all jump into the center. So that's actually what I wanted to produce in this lesson. So with that, I will remove the background green color, and I'll just make Chrome full size for a moment, and we can save our work. We can toggle between the dark mode and the light mode. So that's all looking very nice. However, we do just have one column at the moment. So in the next lesson, we'll attend to that and have multiple columns of images. So I will see you there.